Catman. That's what we're looking at today. It's the independent Era 1 premium light tank. First of its kind in Era 1. We don't have any other premium lights in Era 1. And based on its appearance and its tech tree placement, this is a mercenary light tank, meaning that it's not based on a real vehicle. It looks like the turret of the M42 American SPAA, and it's been placed on the hull of the Chinese Type 62 light tank. Now, I know a concern that people had with this vehicle was that it would follow the trend of, you know, super powerful, overpowered, broken, fast-firing premiums in the game, but I can confirm that this thing is not that. The Scatman, or Catman, it doesn't ruin Era 1. If anything, you barely notice it, really. I've not seen it about a whole lot. So if you were worried that this thing would ruin Era 1, don't worry, it's not. I would say it's had a very small impact, if any impact at all. So don't worry about the state of Era 1. Era 1 is fine. Now, the asking price for the Catman is 8,850 gold. That is expensive, so should you get one? No, you shouldn't. But given this is the first tank of its kind in Era 1, it's difficult to compare this to anything, really, because, like I said, there's nothing. There are no other premium lights. So what I'll do, I'll compare it to the FV107, the Scimitar, which is from a weapon system point of view, it's probably it's the closest comparison from a weapon system point of view. But mobility, it's more like a stock Type 62 or a stock Chaffee. Really, that's what it's like. Not brilliant. So let's have a look at the Catman compared to the FV107. Catman, 140mm of pen on standard rounds, 190 on gold, 40 on secondary. Primary and gold will do an average of 50 alpha, secondary will do 90 alpha. The 107 has 135mm of pen on standard, 180 on gold, 38 on secondary. Primary and gold will do an average of 40 alpha, and secondary will do an average of 50. The gun stats for the Catman make it look like a pay to have an advantage tank, but the Catman will throw 68 rounds downrange every minute, while the 107 can throw 81 rounds downrange in the same amount of time. So the Catman sounds better, but I would say there's an argument to be made for it really being no better or worse than the FV107. The Catman, 1640 hit points, 107, 1700. Unboosted, the Catman will max out at 65 kilometers an hour, 107 will max out at 87 kilometers an hour. View range of the Catman is 520 meters, 107, 530. The moving and still concealment of the Catman comes in at 278 meters, while the 107 comes in at 271. And it's at this point, it's fair to say that the best light tanks in Era 1 are still the tech tree ones, and they're scouts primarily. That's what light tanks are. They are the scouts. They're the things that go out there and see what's what, see what's where. And the tech tree tanks are still better than this one. From a scouting point of view, almost every tech tree tank is better than the Catman, I would say. There is an argument to be made for it to, it's got the same mobility as the stock Chaffee, stock Type 62. Yeah, it does. But you'll upgrade those, and then immediately your tech tree tanks are better than this premium that you'll need to pay for. One thing that Catman can do better, though, is put out the damage. It doesn't have the highest DPM. That goes to the 101, but the DPM of the Catman is 3,404. And that is certainly better than the 2,728 of the Bulldog, or the 2,215 of the 251. So if you want to look at stats alone, you could make an argument again that, yeah, the Catman's actually not that bad. It's got the higher DPM, but stats are not the be-all and end-all of vehicles in this game. The 101 proves that that is the case, because yes, you can have the highest DPM, but if you're fighting a skilled IS-4, that DPM will mean absolutely nothing. In the right circumstances, though, the Catman can be very effective. That rapid rate of fire, the good damage output, the good penetration, the relatively fast clip reload, you can catch people off guard. If you play it right, if you play it sensibly, you can mop up at the ends of each game. But again, you've got to play it carefully. You've got to play it sensibly. You've got to know what you're doing. You can run in, but don't expect to run in, dump your clip, and run out without taking any damage. That is not something you'll be able to do reliably. You could do it. I'm sure in certain circumstances you could do that. But yeah, it's not going to be a guaranteed strategy, because this is a terribly slow light tank. Even with the crew and equipment I've got on it, it does still feel pretty sluggish. So is the Catman a bad tank? No, it isn't. But there are tanks that you can earn for free that do a far better scouting job, light tank job, than the Catman. And this thing is expensive. I can't remember what the price of it was, but it's near enough 9,000 gold. That's not cheap. There is one thing though that I really don't like about this tank, and that is the visual recoil of the when you aim down the sight, the visual juddering or vertical movement of the camera every time the gun fires. It's incredibly jarring. It makes manually aiming very, very difficult. And I think all Wargaming have done here is encourage more of the RBRT gameplay, because with this tank I would rather RBRT something than try and work with this awfully jarring visual every time the gun fires. So if they could fix that, that would be good. That would make this tank a lot nicer to play. But yeah, RBRT gameplay being encouraged, not good. At least in my opinion, that's not good. Alright, let's have a look at the economy stats. The Catman has a 55% silver boost, 10% tank XP boost, 6% free XP boost, and a 20% crew XP boost. The 6% free XP boost, that's nice. And the 20% crew XP boost also, that's pretty good. It's not 25% of crew trainers, but hey, 20% is better than nothing. So if you really want to, you can play the Catman as a crew trainer in Era 1, which is not a very common thing to have. We don't have crew trainer in Era 1, as far as my memory serves. So maybe that's enough to sway you to get one. That might be attractive to you. Up to you guys. You decide. Alright, that's all I've got for this one, guys. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave it a like, if not a dislike. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one.